Hey, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm excited to welcome back to the show Alain to talk all about his newest KISS book, KISS at Budokan. There is so much to cover in this episode, so much to talk about this great book. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. I am excited. I have back for the third, fourth, fifth time. I don't know. I've lost count at this point how many times Alan's been on the show. So welcome back to the show, Alan. Appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. I was trying to remember, we were talking about doing this for the last few weeks, and I was like, I think it's been about a year and a half, 2 years since I've last had you on. So I was long overdue to have you on. And what better reason than to celebrate the newest book that just came out? And I actually just got my copy yesterday, right? So this is Kiss at Budokan, right? So before we even get into the details of all of that, you've put out, I think it's like a dozen books or so, right? The Illustrated Guide, Kiss Takes Tokyo 77, Budokan 78, Originals Plus One. I could go on. I mean, you have a proven track record here for a
You've done your
decade.
homework. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, but how is this book different from all the others? Because every book you put out is amazing. So how are you topping that, and how is that different? How is this one different?
well, that's a very good question. This is the 10th anniversary of my first publication.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do something special for 2025. And I reached out to the powers that be, and all the planets aligned fantastically. This book is really, for the first time, a photo book with including pictures of Kiss without makeup. That's something I really
Mhm.
had. I really wanted to get out, and I was able to achieve that. Of course, it's also covering the makeup years. The concept is the Kiss concert at Budokan from 77 to 1995. So it's a photo album. I would like to come to describe it as four tour books in one.
Mm.
The difference is, of course, when you buy a tour book, you have photos of the previous tour or promo photos. Here, of course, the photos are of the concerts, of the photos of the concert they did at the time of the tour. So it's a very nice compliment for Kiss collectors and diehard fans. A lot of unreleased shots, never seen before, never published before. I, of course, try to complement the images with some text, some trivia. So I think it's like my 10-year experience of making Kiss books is consolidated into this 160-page photo book. So I am very pleased with the content, and most of all, very pleased with the cover.
Yes. So let's talk about that cover for a moment, right? So when I saw the advanced photo of the cover, which was, I guess, about 6 weeks ago when you first announced, officially that you're going to start taking orders, the first thing that jumped off the page for me is, hold it, that's the KISS logo on the cover, and I know what that means, right? That's not easy to do. One of your other books, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the Originals Plus One that you had the logo. So
Right.
we'll talk about the announcement today that came out on the site in a few moments. But first, just talk about, how did you get the logo usage? What's the backstory behind that? Is this book official? Is it authorized? Explain to us what that means.
Yes. So when I approached Pop House at first to get this project going, I needed their approval to license the photos from the Shinko Music archives. So once I got all the okays, I submitted my final request and say, this is the cover I have in mind. And so we had one meeting, and then of course they had to go back between internal meeting, and then they got back to me with the answer, said yes, we approve it, it's okay, you can use that logo on the cover, you can use that cover. And I was so glad, because that KISS logo slashed, like
It's beyond cool.
yes, exactly.
It's beyond cool.
I knew it. I'm glad they agreed, and they said yes, go ahead with that. So that was it. It was, I wouldn't say lobbying, but sort of explaining why it was important and how it fit really well with the concept, with the whole Budokan and Japan vibe, and they understood that, and I'm very, very appreciative that I got the okay with the KISS logo on this book. To go back to your the previous title you mentioned, in 2018, that was yes, my first officially approved by KISS by Epic Rights. This one is not an official product. It's not an official KISS item. It's a KISS fan made item, but authorized by Pop House. So it's a little different.
Right. Interesting. Now, to me, with not knowing anything about licensing of photos and anything, one of the things I picked up on instantly is you said you had to get approval from Pop House to use these photos. So does that mean they're like part ownership of these photos? Like, just explain to us how that works, because I don't understand that.
Well, it's maybe specific to my situation, because the photos that I license are from Shinko Music, the Shinko Music archives. And Shinko Music has been in relationship with KISS for almost 50 years, since since 1975, so exactly 50 years.
Wow.
So whenever I need to license photos from them, they require that I get the management approval.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So once I get the KISS's approval, Shinko Music is happy to license the photos. So that's the process for me.
Wow.
If you are in the US, if you are in Germany or in Italy or in South America, I don't know how it works.
Right.
For me, that's the way it works.
Now, is there any photos that you pick out and you say, hey, I want to put this in the book, and KISS says, or Pop House says, no, you can't use that for whatever their reason? Or do they pretty much give you free reign to choose what you want?
That's another very good question. And for the first time, I had to submit the content before approval. In the past, that wasn't the case. So they wanted to look at the content first. And so I sent all the pages first, and they said, go ahead. So there wasn't any really censorship or anything, conspiracy theory. No.
And that's not why I was asking. I was just curious how this works.
You just have to mention it otherwise.
Of course.
So no, I tried to do my best. I used my best judgment to use the photos that made sense, that told the story, and there was no objection whatsoever before approval.
Now, one of the things I love about the book, and I have it for only 24 hours, and I got to go through the book another 50 times until I could fully digest everything in it. But I feel like it really takes me back to the individual time periods of these concerts, right? So with the 77 one, there's tons of photos, concert photos, but then you've also got some of the fans who were attending the concerts, not necessarily even in the arena, but outside the arena. And it really brings me into that feeling of what it must have been like going to the concert, even for the fans at that time. Was that something important to you to bring into the book?
Absolutely. I love those photos that I was able to find by luck. Really, it was incredible, pure luck that those fan photos in the arena in makeup are in this book. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, but I spoke with a lot of fans who attended the shows, and it was really, really special. And I tried to convey how incredibly bizarre and surreal it was in 1977 Japan for young kids to go to an arena by train or walking in KISS makeup. There was nothing like that at the time, and
Right.
it really made an incredible impact
Yes.
on Japanese society. It was The photos were from big press agencies. So I
Mm.
said, what is happening with this, with our youth? They're going to rock concerts in makeup. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So it was really, really special. And I'm glad I found those photos. And I think, yes, they are perhaps the highlight of that tour and of those photos. It's not so much the photos of the band, but photos of fans being completely taken over. Kiss mania. That's
Yes.
what mania is. It's like something that takes you over that you can't control.
Yeah.
And I think we've been afflicted with this for decades.
For
And
decades.
those
Yeah.
photos capture that. And I love those photos.
Absolutely. Now, before you said obviously you weren't there in 77, right? But you live in Japan, for anybody watching or listening who doesn't know that. What was the first time you were at the Budokan?
The first Budokan show I attended was 2003.
Okay.
The
And that was
first Kiss
KISS?
show, the
Oh,
first
okay.
Kiss show, the first Kiss show I attended was 2001 at Tokyo Dome.
Okay, nice. Oh, wow. Okay.
The first Budokan, yes, they played 3 shows in 2003. Of course, I was at all 3.
Of course, yes. Of
Yes,
course. Right,
yes.
right.
I
Now,
actually I
go
think
ahead.
I've seen Kiss in Japan more than I've seen them around the world. I think
Wow.
I have a list somewhere, but I've seen them in Japan a lot. Yeah.
Right, right. Now, I'm always curious because I've lived in New York my whole life. I've grown up in New York. And some people appreciate Madison Square Garden and the history of the arena, and other people are just like, it's another arena. So what? Who cares? In Japan, what's the impression of Budokan? Is it held in like this high regard the way those of us around? Because I hold Budokan like there's the Garden, there's Budokan, there's Wembley, and then there's everything else around the world in my mind. With no disrespect to any other place around the world, but in my mind, those are the big three. What do the people in Japan think of Budokan?
That's absolutely the case,
Mm,
especially because the first Kiss show in Tokyo was at the Budokan, and they
yes.
played 4 times in 77, 5 times in 78.
Hmm.
And of course, the fans now were teenagers in 77, 78. And so it has a very, very special emotion, very special connection with their youth, with the time. The Budokan is a fantastic um, building. The
Hmm.
way it looks, it was built, it's a martial arts arena. It was built for the Olympics,
Mm,
and it's in a beautiful park surrounded by moat, surrounding by the cherry blossoms in April, and Kiss played in April. So the surroundings are
yes.
are spectacular.
Agreed.
You are, it's breathtaking before you even arrive. So
Yes.
at the time, also in 77, 78, it was the largest arena for concerts. I mean, there were
Mm,
concerts played in Korakuen, which is a baseball stadium, but it's not covered. I mean, it was just like for festivals and all that. So
hmm.
playing Budokan at that time was very, very special, and it looks beautiful. And I think, of course, when I was there first time in 2003, I was like, Kiss at Budokan.
Right
Oh,
now. Yeah.
and of course, it's been a lot of artists have played since,
Right.
but I think that having the Kiss at Budokan 77 is very, very special in the Kiss fans' hearts.
Absolutely. To me, I hold those Budokan concerts in 77 as like almost the pinnacle of KISS, right? In terms of a live band,
Yes,
those
yes,
shows are just, they were perfect sonically, they were perfect on stage, the tempos were perfect. Everything about those shows to me were perfect.
I
Maybe it's because, again, I
totally agree.
hold Tokyo in such high regard, but those shows just are perfect to me.
You're absolutely right, and
Yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, they prepared for that. I
Right.
mean, it was not an accident. They played 5, 6 shows before they played Budokan. They were perfectly well rehearsed. They flew in Eddie Kramer for mixing. NHK doubled their cameras and their crew to capture the best shots, the best angles. They recorded 2 shows, and so you have, and the band is on fire,
Yes.
and you have all those elements getting together, and you have probably the best KISS show on tape and on video,
Yep.
thanks to that,
Yep.
in that amazing crowd. So yeah, it's perfect on all levels. I agree.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, to me, even the band members always seem to have held Budokan in such high regard. Obviously, we're talking about the 77 shows, and we know that that was originally recorded for a live album, ultimately scrapped. I've seen
Yeah,
Bruce talk about the Budokan 88 show and him say that might have been his greatest live performance with the band. And
exactly.
obviously, the band holds the legacy of Budokan in high regard. And that's even proven that today, just before we spoke, literally like an hour or two before we were speaking today, KISS actually shared the information about your book on social media, which I think says a lot about you. I think it says a lot about the book. It says a lot about the history of that. So, how did you know that they were going to share this on social media, and how did that come about?
Yes, I knew. I didn't know when. I didn't know the
Mhm.
timing, but I had requested, when I sent samples, and I said, do you think you can run a story perhaps for to um, for awareness?
Mhm.
And said, yeah, we will do that. Can you send us some images for illustration and all that? So I had sent that a while ago, and I was expecting every day, when is it going to run? When is it going to run? So I got the email literally 5 minutes after we had agreed to have this recording. And I was like, it's today, it's today.
Uh,
I reached out to you, and we're recording now. So yeah, I'm of course extremely pleased and very appreciative that
mhm.
a lot of KISS fans will become aware of that publication.
Yeah,
It's it
I think it's
no
great for you. I think it's well deserved. And what I also like for you, especially, is some of the, I'll say, fan published books have gotten a bad rap in the last 5, 10 years for reasons we all know, and I hate to get into, and I'm not going to. And I've said that for the last 10 years, you put out 12 books of the highest quality, right? One book better than the next, better than the next. And the fact that KISS is willing to promote your book, which is not an official book, like you just said before, right? It's authorized by them. They're telling you you could go ahead and do this, but it's not an official book. I think just speaks testament to what you have done for the KISS community with your books and newsletters, and we can talk about that a little bit as well. But it's as the whole package. I don't think they'd be doing that for really any other artist, any other book publisher, but yourself that I'm aware of it. So I just want to just say congratulations. To me, that's just so freaking awesome that they're doing that for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted.
Mhm.
I've done all those books with passion. I The more I make them, the more I love doing them, and the feedback I'm getting from fans is really fantastic. They say, oh, it's the of I mean, they're really nice, but I think they really appreciate it, and I really appreciated getting
Mhm.
that feedback, and
Mhm.
being able to bring those photos from archives to the fans has almost become my mission in life recently. And I of course I'm enjoying it, and knowing that a lot of people are enjoying them as well is really I'm very pleased. And really appreciating every nice words and feedbacks I get. And so yeah, the official nod today is of course I'm very
Of
happy.
course. I was excited for you. So now this book is, I think it's just over 160 pages. I call it a monster book. I mean, it's just loaded with photos, one after the other after the other. Approximately how many photos are actually in this book?
I don't know. I would say,
It's that many. You can't even keep track.
well, it's I I don't know, maybe close to maybe 200,
Hmm.
150 to photos, but they're also what I did differently this time from the previous is that they're really full page portraits,
Yes.
which is a different type. I wanted to do really a photo album because, like you said, I've done a dozen books. I've done a book on the story of KISS in Japan, 200 pages. I did a special fanzine-like photo book, Takes Tokyo. I
Yep.
did another one, Budokan 78. I was not going to redo the same thing. I wanted to give a different angle, a different approach, different design and layout, different types of photos, and not, making look like, oh, he's recycling stuff. No, it's all 90%, 95% of the photos are new. I've reworked the text. I took a different approach to make it really fresh and really unseen for this one. And I also incorporated a bit more Japanese text for effect. It's not in Japanese. The text is in English, but I wanted to give it more of a Japanese vibe, but still accessible to non-Japanese, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, it looks different than the previous ones.
Absolutely. And so you've referred to this book, understandably so, a few times now as a photo album. And it's hard to disagree with that because there's hundreds of photos in the book. But I will, on some level, respectfully disagree with that, only because there is text in the book where I found myself learning through reading some things that I didn't know and really getting into the mindset of what it was like when tickets were going on sale, what the local authorities were doing to try to help KISS hide their identities in the 70s. I learned a little bit about that Chikara symbol and how there's a much bigger connection to Eric Carr. And I'll just leave it at that because I want people to read it in the book, right? So that I was like, whoa, I had no idea. I always thought that only meant power, and there's more to that story, right? So yes, there are hundreds of pictures that I was just like, damn, that's a great picture. Oh my God, that one's awesome. But then as I read the text, I'm like, oh, I never realized that. Or I forgot that. Maybe I'm just getting old or whatever it is. There's a lot you could learn even from the text that's in this book. And there's not tens of thousands of words in the book, but there's enough text that you could read and say, I just learned something new I didn't know. So to me, that was a really cool part of the book also. And I don't want to minimize that. And that's why I'm saying I'll respectfully disagree, because I felt like I learned a few things I didn't know.
Thank you for your feedback and for the kind words. I tried, yes, indeed. Just photos would not have been. You need to have a balance. So yes, there is text to not illustrate, but to complement the images and maybe put some context, like you just perfectly gave examples of, and some trivia.
Yes.
I try to keep it general for people who are not super diehard, killing over every single details and knowing everything at the back of their hands, plus some trivia that are relevant to the image or to the tour, and make it interesting on all levels. I'm very glad to hear that you learned one or two new things. That's great to hear.
More than one or two, but maybe some of them I had forgotten over the years. Who knows? So I was reminded of some things. One of the things I loved is just reading about the '88 show and how the TV broadcast had an impact on the set list and things like that. And yes, like you said, there's a lot in the book just for the average KISS fan so that they could digest this information. But as a diehard, I'm reading it, I'm like, well, hold on. They sound check Turn on the Night in Japan. So I was like, no, that's freaking cool. Were you able to hear that, or do you know if a recording exists of that?
No, I wish. Maybe someone did. There are so many things in people's closets and drawers that are forgotten. Maybe one day we'll get to hear. I would love to hear them play Turn on the Night.
Yes.
But apparently they rehearsed it 4 or 5 times at every show after Nagoya. They decided not to play it. Turn on the Night was the single that came out just when the tour started in Japan. So I think there was a push by the record company but I don't think they played it in the US. So it was something new to them, and I guess they didn't like the way it sounded, so they decided not to play it live, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things. I had interviewed Gary Corbett before he passed, and he had told me that they had rehearsed that song, but he couldn't remember exactly where. He's like, and I don't think he was on the '88 tour with them, if I'm not mistaken, right? Right? He wasn't. He wasn't in Japan.
He didn't. I don't know. He didn't make the trip to
Yeah,
Japan. He was in Europe, but not in Japan.
right. So that tells me they tried it on multiple occasions then, and it just never made the set list for whatever reason. So it was just one of those geeky things. As I'm reading the book, I'm like, there's another scenario where they were rehearsing the song and it didn't make the set list. So so close yet so far. But anyway, I think one of the things I loved also is just kind of getting into the whole mindset of the Japan culture and the Young Music Show and what that meant to the Japanese fan base. And again, I'll let people read that in this story in the book. But for yourself, whether it was the Young Music Show, whether it was those music life books from the '80s that I had gotten, what did those things mean to you as a fan?
I can't begin to tell you how much it means. One of the first videos I got bootleg in I think 86, 85, 86 was the Kiss Live in Japan 77. So
Same.
what was one of the first videos I saw after maybe around the same time I got Animalize Live.
Right.
But then I got, of course, makeup era. I watched it a million times. The Music Life magazine literally changed my life. When I got it when I was 15, 16, a whole book in Japanese, just I just wanted to find out what it said,
Right.
what it was all about. So how does what country makes a 160-page book about Kiss? I
Mhm.
need to learn Japanese. I learned Japanese. I ended up reading it. I ended up translating it, and
Mm.
I ended up coming to Japan to learn Japanese more. So
Mm.
Kiss in Japan for me literally changed my life. So it
Wow.
has a very, very deep meaning.
Right. And that's the reason I bring up the Music Life special books, because for me in the '80s, those were far and away the best books of anything Kiss. And I
I agree.
see your books as taking that to the next level, right? So for me,
That's
sadly, I
very
never learned how to read Japanese. And so the books still sit on my shelf and I look at them, I'm like, it's cool, but I don't have a clue what any of the text says, right? So whereas your books are now in English. So for myself, selfishly, I could read it. And the pictures are pictures I've never seen before. So to me, you've taken those Music Life specials to the next level, really. So I have to imagine those were influences on you putting these books together.
I I love those two
Mhm.
publications. To me, they are by far forever the best books ever published or magazines published on Kiss. I revered them for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, not to mention, of course, the exciting photos and just putting them together. Music Life did Queen specials, they did Cheap Trick specials,
Yep.
but they're nowhere near the Kiss specials. The Kiss
Right.
specials are 160 pages, like I said. The Cheap
Mhm.
Trick, I think, is half that. Queen is also there. It's just when they really went out of their way to make Kiss look special, and of course, Kiss looked very different.
Right.
And I think you have that feeling with those Music Life magazines. They really made them larger than life. I think
Yes.
this phrase has been used and overused, but it's true.
It
When
is
you
true.
when you see them in the kimono in Kyoto and live, it's pure magic. There's
Yes.
no denying it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and 50 years later, it's
We're
still
still talking about
inspiring
it.
knuckleheads to make books about it.
Oh, well, one of the things I loved in the book also is, to me, the '78 tour. You have the book, the Budokan '78 book, right? But there's nowhere near as much documentation on that tour compared to '77. And at least to me, they were new. I didn't remember seeing them, but you've got some great '78 photos in here of, I'll say, the full arena, lights on
Yeah,
in the arena. I mean,
I
there's just some really amazing, amazing, amazing photos that I was looking at these. I'm like, wow, I've never seen any Kiss photos like these of any tour, let alone the 78 shows, which I think is lacking tremendously. So we spoke before about like the photos of the fans in the book, which I think are great, but those 78 photos jumped out at the book, and I'm like, oh my God, I just sat there staring at the book for a minute, just looking at those photos.
Thank you. Yes, I've got some feedback already about that white shot of the Budokan. I
Uh-huh.
think the one I know you're referring
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
When I saw it in the archives, I immediately said, "This is going in right away." Yes, and Shinko Music has a lot more photos of 78.
Hmm.
I picked really a selection for this one. They have a lot more of
Hmm.
78. They really went out of their way to document the 78 shows in images. So yeah, there's tons of slides still ready to be. Well, not ready. They're out there.
They're waiting for you to show up and do the sequel to Budokan
I
78.
I honestly, when I was there earlier this year, when I was selecting the photos for this one, I
Mhm.
said to the person in charge that, I think I'll have to come back next year and do another one because there were so many. I couldn't
Hmm.
do all on 78. On this one, I had to balance with the other three tours. But I would, yes, definitely love to go back to the Shinko Music Archives and bring more of the 78 photos out for everyone to see. They really took a lot of photos that have never been published, and it's a shame because they look spectacular.
Like I said, these photos were jumping off the page at me. And I love, again, you gave a little bit of text and a little bit of context as to what
Context, yeah.
these photos represented. Otherwise, I would have been like, well, why is this like this or whatever? So you really explained it and you did great. And again, it was, for me, it was one of the highlights of the book that you could only fully appreciate by buying the book and seeing it yourself, right? So all the words I'm saying right now might sound great, but and I'm not easily impressed with this stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't sit there and memorize every photo that I've ever seen. I can't. I've seen tens of thousands of photos, but those photos jumped out at the page at me. So did there were some photos from '88, which a lot of people always their mind always goes to the makeup years, mine included. But there were some photos from '88, which I don't recall seeing. There was like a yellow background, is the way I'll describe it. And you had a page where like each band member had their own photo on. I'm like, oh, these look really cool. I've never seen these photos before. And it was like a great snapshot of that era of the band, which for me, these photos were either brand new that I've never seen or photos I've long forgotten that I've ever seen. So even the non-makeup years, I think to me were fairly represented with some exciting stuff there.
Yes, it's true. I mean, the fans mostly collect makeup, and the classic Music Life and Japanese magazines are from the makeup era, but they did come in 88 and 95.
Mhm.
And the reason I selected those photos is because I had never seen them either.
Okay. Mhm.
So yeah, they did some press in '88 for Crazy Nights, not as much as they did for the previous tours, but I really wanted to include that lineup because
Mhm.
I saw that lineup was the first one I saw was Animalized tour, and then I
Right.
saw Crazy Nights a couple of times. I love that lineup. I love
Mhm.
that era. So yeah, definitely I wanted to pay tribute to Eric and Bruce as well in that book. And these photos actually are not from the Music Life archives; they're from the Burn archives. It's the
Oh,
same
okay.
company,
Mhm.
but
Oh, right.
I had to jump through different hoops to to
Uh,
get them, and but I'm glad they agreed and that they're in there.
Right, right. Now, we were talking before about the 77 video that we've all seen millions of times. Obviously, we've seen the 88 video. There's a video from 95, but I've
That's right.
never seen anything video from 78. Now, as you go through all of these photos, has there ever been anything that you're like, there's a video camera over there in the photo, or is there any proof of any kind of video being done for the 78 shows?
I've seen 8 millimeter footage of
Okay.
78
Oh,
from
nice.
from the crowd, from a fan.
Okay.
Um, it's not very long, but he captured the highlights of the show.
Okay.
Um, I think it's the March 28th show, so the first show at
Hmm.
Budokan. So
Okay.
there is video footage, 8 millimeter footage, silent,
Hmm.
color,
Right.
beautiful quality, and
Hmm.
all the highlights, the God of Thunder, the drum solo, and I mean, it's really, really well done. And
Okay.
it's not professional.
Right.
And so, no, I've never seen big NHK cameras
Right.
in the crowd in 78. But yeah, there was 8 millimeter.
Oh,
There's
well,
8 millimeter of 77 as well.
okay.
But to be fair, I had never seen on in I've never seen photos of the 1977 NHK cameras either. They were
Hmm.
really well, placed,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
we know they were there. And at that time, TV cameras were huge. They were
Sure.
massive.
Right.
They were not handheld. They had to. I spoke. Well, I read the interview with the producer. They had to bring trucks to move those cameras, those extra cameras. They were
Hmm.
big
Wow. Okay.
cameras.
Right.
So
Right.
there's I don't think there's any official or any pro shot from 78. I've heard rumors, but so far I've never had proof that it
Hmm.
existed. But there is 8 millimeter video, yes.
It does. So that's exciting just to hear that. I'm surprised that KISS wouldn't have professionally filmed the 78 shows based off of all of the media coverage they had in 77. But it was a different time where video and stuff was not the way it is today. And so, but I'm just always surprised that the 78 ones weren't officially documented by the band. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? Um, I want to talk about the newsletters for a moment also, right? Because we spend a lot of time talking about the books, and I'm going to be flat out honest with you. When I first heard about the newsletters, I'm like, all right, okay. So that's such a thing from the 80s. And and then I got one and I'm like, oh, that's good. That's really good. And then I got another. I'm like, that might be as good as the book, And then I got these last two, and I'm like, because I got number 10 with this one, and I had not picked up number 9, and I told you I wanted to get that also, and I sent you money for that, and you sent that to me, and I'm like, that might be the best one yet. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. So
Thank you. Thank
just talk about the newsletters because you converted somebody who at first was like, and now I'm like, oh, I got to go back and get whatever ones I'm missing because these are freaking great. So talk about those for a
you.
minute.
Thank you very much. I came up with the idea a few years ago. It was really when I was, in the 80s and when I was a teenager, it was hard to get Kiss News, right? I
Hmm.
mean, they were not in the main media the magazine. They would be in the magazine once a year when the album was released,
Right.
and especially in Europe, they didn't tour much. So the fanzines at the time were really, like a present from heavens when you got it
Yes.
in your mailbox. And I had subscribed to a few in the mid 80s, from the Netherlands. Then I went for my first time to the US, the States. I discovered all those fanzines. I subscribed to many, and I was like so excited to read articles about the elder, and fans sharing stories and seeing rare photos and learning about rare items. And of course, with the internet, they disappeared
Right.
for the longest time. I mean, I think in the mid 90s people stopped doing uh, newsletters and fanzines, and everything was on the internet, and they had the websites and the like. Now we have podcasts to
Sure.
get the news super fast. But I thought, let's have some kind of retro vibe
Hmm.
celebration. So the newsletters are between 16 and 20 pages, and I write about what I experienced. So in 2022, 2023, the tours, the
Yep.
European tours, that's under the shows I attended. Plus, I do special pages on Japanese archives, on
Yep.
Japanese items, on collectors' items, on stories of some fans and friends contributed when they went to see some shows, the Gene Simmons tribute band, rare photos, some stories, some trivia. I mean, I mix a bit about all
Yes.
of that in 16 to 20 pages, and I'm having great fun, and fans love it. So yeah, I'm very very pleased that I didn't know I would last 10 numbers. I mean 10 issues. I thought, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. And yeah, it's issue number 10, and the feedback has been phenomenal. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and to me, the most phenomenal part of all of that is somehow you've managed to keep the cost of those next to, dare I say, next to nothing. You know, not that I want you to raise the price on everybody, but it's really like if you're ordering the book, and we'll talk about how to order it in a moment, right? But if you're going and ordering the book, go on Alan's website and also check out the newsletters. And for just a couple of dollars, for crying out loud, your McDonald's is probably going to cost you more than this newsletter will. Pick it up. It is worth every penny. I was wrong when the first time I was like, is that really necessary? A fanzine in 2022, 23, 24, 25? Yes, because it's done really well. It's really cool. You have some throwback interviews that you have in there from the 80s and stuff like that. And like, it's just such a great read. There's great photos in there. In some cases, just as good as the book. And I just praise the book and how much I love the book. But people, listen to me. It's only a couple dollars. Pick up that newsletter. It's worth, not that I'm trying to spend people's money on them, but it's worth every penny. I regret having missed a couple of them myself.
Thank you very much. Yes, the part of the intention was it has to be low price point, because I think I said, the 70s feeling at the 80s price with the 2025 quality. It was kind of like a cheesy catchphrase, but it's true. Keeping the cost as low as possible. Unfortunately, since 2022, the costs of the printing costs have gone up, the shipping costs have gone up, but I kept the prices as low as I can to spread the word, because it's about that. It's not, you don't make money with newsletters and fanzines, but you have a lot of fun.
Yes, and it comes through. And I'll just say this. I'll kind of almost like end where we started, right? So like I started at the top of this is the third, fourth, fifth time you've been on the show. If I wouldn't stand by the books myself, I wouldn't continue to have Alain on time after time, right? Like I said before, your track record is proven. In my mind, there's really only two authors that I need to buy KISS books from going forward, you and Julian Gill, right? You guys are the only two people. Any other KISS books, with no disrespect to them, but they don't live up, right? So I welcome you onto the show every time, because to me, your books are just top shelf, phenomenal, absolutely incredible. Let's make sure people know how to get these books. So why don't you tell them how to order it?
You can go to the page it's kissontour74-83.com in one word, kissontour74-83.com. That's where you can order the book and the fanzine while they last. There aren't many fanzines newsletters left.
Okay.
So yeah, if you are inclined and interested, please visit that kissontour74-83.com.
And for everybody who's watching on YouTube, I'll put that link in the description of the video so that this way they can see it over there. And I'll just say this also. We said that this, you've done a lot of books in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alain, every single one of them have sold out, right?
Right. That's right. Yes.
So I'll say this to people. I just got mine in the last 24 hours. I ordered it the second I knew it was available. The book's not going to be available, quote unquote, forever. It's not going to be something that 2 or 3 years from now you can say, oh, I'll go pick this up. It'll be too late. So you don't want to snooze on this, because look, you don't have to come on here and talk about it for it to sell out. It's going to sell out. Your track record has proven that. But I'm just trying to give fans the opportunity to know about it being out there before it's too late and you're on eBay paying double or triple the amount that you should be to pick it up, because trust me, it's worth every penny and you want to get it directly from the source.
If I may add something to that effect, one of the conditions to be authorized, and that I had the support of Pop House and KISS, was that they understand, and of course I have to make sure it's a limited edition.
Okay.
So the numbers are set and limited. So yes, I don't keep a warehouse full of thousands and thousands of books. They're limited edition. It's a fan publication, once again, authorized by the band and management, on the condition that it's a limited edition. So yes, it is limited edition, and so get it while you can, and I hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely. And I'll just add this also. everything from packing the book to shipping it, supplying tracking numbers, answering any questions you have. You do it all, right? It's a
I
one
do it
man
all.
shop here, right?
One-man
So
operation.
right.
I'm an Amazon all by myself.
Yes. So I bring that up because if somebody orders on today, July 1st or July 2nd, don't expect it's going to show up on your doorstep on July 3rd at 9 a.m. in the morning, right? You have to be
That's right.
realistic. This is
Right.
one guy, he's a human Amazon, like he just said. So be patient.
Yes.
But saying that, you've always shipped super quickly. I don't know how you do it. You must not sleep while you're putting out books because you're constantly shipping and getting things out pretty quickly, which is just, and you're very accessible. You're answering people's questions. You're not hidden behind a computer somewhere where people don't see you. So it's a no risk purchase is basically what I'm trying to tell fans.
Yes. Thank you for vouching for me. But yes,
Yes.
please don't please be patient. It's sometimes, it takes, I don't know what happened with the US this time. It took longer than usual. I don't know what was this I mean, people in Canada and Europe got it really, really fast.
Hmm.
The US had about a week late for arrival, but now they started to arrive, and so I'm very glad to say that the feedback has been great. If you do order, yes, please. I'm in Japan. It does take its time. I
Yes.
it does. I If I get many orders on one day, I cannot ship every day everything. So it will take 3, 4, 5, 6 days to perhaps process and get the tracking numbers, but you will get it.
Yes.
Please be patient. Don't worry.
Absolutely. Like you said, you give people tracking numbers, and I got mine and I was able to see. And if it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks come from Japan, that's not your fault. I don't expect you to get on an airplane and fly me my book. I would welcome
Well,
it. You're welcome to come, but I don't
for,
expect that.
for a VIP special fee, I can.
That's right. For the $50,000 fee, like Gene did with the vault,
I
right?
can
You come to people's house and
yes.
deliver it.
Uh,
You'll spend an
uh,
afternoon, you'll share stories, you'll sing a few songs on acoustic guitar, right?
I even wear makeup if you want.
Okay, there you have it. Anything else, Alan, that you want people to know about the book?
I'm very, very proud that it came out. It was like I said, I had to jump through a lot of hoops, but I think the result is worth it. I'm very glad KISS and Pop House were understanding of my intentions, and I'm very glad the KISS fans have pre-ordered and ordered it and have sent me really heartwarming and very kind feedback and words of encouragement. And KISS is my passion. I love making KISS books, and I hope you enjoy the books when you get them. So thank you once again, Mike, for
Of
your
course.
invitation, for your
Yes,
support.
absolutely. And Alan, I'll just ask you just one last question. Now that this book is out, my next thing is, well, when's the next one coming out? So you've done 2,000 pages probably across all of your books. Do you ever say, that's it, I'm good, I don't need to do this anymore, or will there be more in the future?
Um, Both. When I'm in the middle of the cardboard boxes and the mailers and hey, where's my trucking number and all that, like I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. But I have the bug, and I always have ideas, and I think and like I said, KISS is it's a passion, it's a labor of love. So if I can bring come up with new projects and new ideas, I will. I have two very solid ideas in mind.
Mm,
Now, from getting from an idea to a real book, it takes time and effort
yes.
and all that. But I had one meeting already, very promising meeting. I will. We agreed that I would do a few pages, a few sample pages, and if we both like what it looks like and what we can do, then we'll go ahead, and I hope to make at least maybe one more or two more books, kids books. Who knows?
That is awesome. One more time, give everybody the website.
Kiss on Tour 74-83.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate it. I'm going to go pick up the book and start looking through it again. I advise everybody to go check it out. It's well worth every pen. There you go. Yes. Just look at that cover. Tell me that's not freaking
Yeah,
amazing. That
It
is
is pretty funny.
absolutely amazing. Love it. Absolutely love it. But
Thank you.
everybody go pick it up. You heard the website. I'll put it in the description below. As always, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for your time. And Alan, I really appreciate talking to you and hope to see you again in person sometime soon.
Likewise. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Later, everybody. Alrighty, there you have it. I'd like to thank Alan for joining me, talking all about his exciting new book, KISS at Budokan. I cannot highly recommend this book anymore. This book is really great and all you KISS fans are going to absolutely love it. Alan's really delivered once again. I strongly suggest going and buying this before it sells out and before it's too late. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and X as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.